Hello and welcome back to Wartorn Creative. I'm Brad. This is Gavin and Jared. We have important breaking news coming at you hot off the press.
There's a leak online.
A leak of detachments. That is where we're at. Which detachment are we starting at? Let's get right into this. Supreme Command Detachment.
Gavin, go.
There's so much energy right now.
It's because it's a fucking leak.
I know. All right, so Supreme. I mean, we don't need to really go over these individually, but we do have some of the stuff that we've already seen, right? The patrol, battalion, and brigade, right? So that's what we know. And now we've got all these really kick-ass kind
we have that on
of
one
alternative
sheet.
options.
It goes
Yeah, we've
away.
already seen
Yeah,
it.
we've already seen that we don't even need it. So
The
news.
only ones that matter I'm cutting
Old
off
news, not relevant.
are ones that
Let's
have
go.
Lord of War in it.
okay,
the only ones that
I mean
matter.
that matters to me a little because of my knights, but also
Matters to me
there's
too.
also some really important stuff because we have a very Space Wolf style Supreme Command detachment with 3 to 5 HQs.
Yeah.
And
Why is that Space Wolf style?
Because Space Wolves have so many characters in them, and a lot of their like Iron Priests and stuff like that. A lot of lists build around tons of these HQ characters, and
Is that what Conrad runs on?
They
his
used
bikes all the time?
to,
yeah.
before 7, they used to just like have as many, like they used to be able to field like, what, 2 HQs for every however many points?
Yeah, I think that was 6th edition.
Yeah, I think
where that-
6th edition Space Wolves.
Fifth and sixth had that.
But now things have gone the way of Bark and Wolfman.
Yeah.
And so characters took a backseat for a good bit.
Yeah, so now we have the option to bring like Arjak Rockfist. There's a lot of really cool characters in that codex, and there's other codexes very similar to that, where you never really had the opportunity. I mean, they've said it 1,000 times in all their articles about how HQs and characters are going to have a much greater focus now. They have more wounds, they have a lot more lasting power, and we know that they're going to have some AoE kind of buffs. So a lot of our armies are probably going to be based around getting as many of these characters in there, stacking those buffs, and getting them spread out so we can spread those abilities and buffs throughout our army the best we possibly can.
I will say that you won't see this often.
Oh yeah, no, I
Because
completely
this is
agree. That
super
that's-
expensive.
It's very expensive, and it only gives you an additional command point.
However, though, because you could have 3 to 5 HQ, if you're smart and you do happen to play 3 HQ, that all gets you more command points.
Actually, yeah, no, that's
you
fair.
could benefit from
That's
it.
fair if you're going to
Because it doesn't require Lord of War or Elite.
No, actually, you're right.
It's a-
Certain armies, as it stands right now, have really cheap HQs. Like, I could run a bunch of, like, Pain Boys. Like, this could be, like, my Pain
Oh,
Boy
that's a really good
slots.
point. And Blood Angels with Apothecaries.
Yeah, it's actually not going to be expensive. It's going to be something that you can cram in to get that extra.
Also,
Nine point.
Librarius Conclaves, essentially.
There, yeah, there you go.
65
That's
points
where it
per.
goes.
I mean, we don't know how they've affected point change, but right now it's 65 points per librarian. So you could crank out 3 librarians or more in that and just have an extra command point.
You know what I
for
still
them.
dislike a lot, though? Is the wording on the dedicated transports.
Yeah,
Why
that's-
did they not
that's
change
still-
that
So,
to be more
no.
clear?
I think, no, I think this totally makes sense. May include 1 for each other choice, because the new rules now for transports, and we've talked about it before, was that multiple units can hop into a transport.
Right.
And
Oh,
that
that's
was-
right. So you don't need 1 for every unit.
Yeah, no, you don't need to.
a good
You
point.
don't need to spam it. Like, you can just have like your 2 5-man tactical squads just hop in into 1 Rhino, and that's it.
So it's basically saying if you choose to, you could take it for each.
Yeah, 1 for because
but you don't have to.
It's very apparent that like dedicated transports aren't tied to the. Granted, I'm saying this without actually seeing any data sheets that actually have. Actually, no, that's true. The Rubric Marines didn't have any dedicated.
But they didn't have it in there.
Yeah, it wasn't listed on their data sheet.
Yeah, but it was also not listed on their Trader Legions as well. So
Yeah, so it's it might just say it'd be safe to say that dedicated transports have just been sidebarred in their own little area where you can take 1 for each other choice.
And actually, to go off of that, skipping a few of these middle ones, we'll come back to them, but let's get to this auxiliary support detachment,
Yeah.
because we see here that it opens up the ability to take a dedicated transport, and 1 of anything, pretty much.
Yeah, 1 of anything.
Anything except Lord of War or Fortification here. And
But there's a kicker.
the kicker is that it can only include a single unit, and you get -1 command
Yes.
point for it. So if you really need that extra transport, you want that extra Land Raider, you want, I don't know, Storm Raven, I don't know if that's going to be a transport or a air wing
You
detachment.
need your 7th Windwider bike squad.
Squad. So then if you jump back up, the super heavy detachment and the air wing detachment.
So we've seen the super heavy detachment when they did faction focus Imperial Knights. I mean, this is pretty standard. You get +3, which is actually I'm very excited to see for getting 3 to 5 Lords of War. Great for me. I'm very excited. I have 5 Knight household that I always used in like kind of friendly games. And now, I mean, friendly games where you stomped me, okay? All right.
Friendly. They weren't friendly.
They were salty. They were very salty when all 3
very
knights died
angry,
on the
like-
same turn, okay? Very salty.
And then you have the Air Wing detachment, which is 3 to 5 flyers, +1 command point. Now, one thing that we're not super clear of is exactly what's going to be classified as a flyer.
Yeah, so we don't, I mean, a lot of the things that we've seen in the past that were they're fast attack or heavy support, we can pretty much assume they're going to be flyers. Things that were also transports are the things that, like for Necrons, the Flying Croissant, I played this, like with 4 of them in my list. How do I not remember the name of it?
Is it
You say it's a flying piece of bread?
Death Sight.
croissant? Yeah, flying croissant. It used to be called that because, was it 5th edition?
Yeah, it's
Where
when they
people
dropped
just
at the end of 5th edition.
where people just ran a bunch of them, and they're croissant shaped.
Yeah, they look like croissants. They're great.
Well, so then what about
Doomsides
just
and
real
Night
quick,
Sights.
like
Yeah,
the
it's Night Sight, that's
the
it.
flying monstrous creatures and stuff like that? Do you think that any of those will end up being classified?
So
as
it's
flyers?
going to be,
yeah.
of course, I think a lot of my Tyranids are going to be like things that were flying monsters. FMCs are going to be changed to flyers. I think I'm interested to see what happens when you give a Hive Tyrant wings, if that's a flyer or if it's a HQ
I think it's still
with
gonna-
a fly special rule.
My mindset is it's still just going to be an HQ with just the fly special.
Okay. I mean, I imagine that's probably true, but yeah. This is exciting for me. My Tyranid list has a lot of flyers, and that's not, just to be clear, that's not
as
flyer
many-
and spam.
Not as many fly rents you can cram.
Yeah, I only run 1 fly rent because I think the model looks really cool. The rest are crones and harpies, so yeah, I'm not that much of a dick.
So then you've got the super heavy auxiliary
little bit.
and fortification. So super heavy, 1 Lord of War. So that pretty much allows you to run any detachment that doesn't have a
They've
Lord
always
of War in
done
it
that.
and add it.
I imagine they were talking through all these design things, and they realized that when they released Knights and a bunch of these other Lord of War, they gave almost every army the ability to take a Lord of War. And we actually talked about this a little when we talked about those first 3 detachments, in that none of them had the Lord of War option. So now you can just take that and then tack on your super heavy auxiliary detachment. You don't get any command benefits from it, but you get that Lord of War if you want it.
Only concern is that, at least just from a fluffy mindset, there's no faction restriction or anything like that, so you can just tack on whatever.
That is true.
so
Good
like,
catch.
That is a good catch.
It's also the same for the fortification network. There's no faction.
well,
restriction.
fortifications
Actually, we don't
were-
know the overall detachment rule. Like if
No,
it
that's
says
true,
that
that's
like
true.
you have to for auxiliary detachments, we don't know if that's a keyword. For instance, we don't know if an auxiliary detachment have to be from a faction.
That's a fair point. And really, we still had that in 7th with anybody could take a knight.
Yeah, so I'm
But-
sure it's going to be, all of these detachments are going to, if there's an allied chart,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be something like that. There might not be, honestly. We may see in, much like Age of Sigmar in match play, where you just throw in all your friggin' favorite units and it doesn't matter at all. Hopefully we don't. I really like thematic lists. I really
Yeah.
like in Age of Sigmar right now how thematic lists are starting to make a comeback.
Throw those pages away. Go to the next one.
Hey, we're not done. We got fortifications.
Yeah,
buddy.
that's one
No, you
more
talked
important-
about that one.
No, this is important. Because instead
Because
of
of Tau?
taking just one,
Yeah, you're only allowed
Tau
just one.
and I mean that's really awesome because you can take up to 3, and if you're playing Astra Militarum, you can now, rather than doing like a heavy armor list, you can run an infantry list with 3 fortifications and have
What
some
type of
serious firepower.
Fortification would you bring with them?
Like the Angels readout, the like Firestorm readouts. There's a Plasma Annihilator.
Yeah.
It's a giant.
It looks like it's just like
It's a
scaled
Titan's
up
plasma cannon.
It's a scaled up plasma gun. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Slapped onto a
And
turret.
it fires. It's a Titan's weapon on a building. So
Yeah.
taking stuff like
Well,
that
there's
might
that,
be
and
really
then there's
fun.
what's the super big one? The Fortress of Redemption.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always call it the Angels readout, but that's
I knew a guy
That's a
at,
different
at,
one, yeah.
at a local store who, in 6th edition, he ran that with his Dark Angels.
Oh yeah. I've seen actually a few lists that do that. Actually, some Tyranid lists because they hide. It's really easy to hide flyers behind that
Yeah, 'cause it's
big ass
massive.
Yeah.
I actually start hoping that eventually they roll out more themed fortifications.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we just had like all things Imperium, and then they rolled out that weird Eldar forest.
Yeah.
Which is super weird, though.
Yeah,
I actually really like it. That's the Death World Force. I mean, it's all super Eldar themed. It would be really nice if we could see some more like Kataka stuff, because we know that that's like really scary.
Yeah.
It costs a little too much. I was really hoping they were gonna hit
little
that out,
pricey.
like, because it's 2 sets of each one of them. I wish they'd just break it out so you could buy them separately, because I'd love to add those to our table.
Yeah.
They look really weird, and I think that adds some flavor to.
And I would just love some licensed orc shanty towns.
Oh
That
yeah,
would be really
that'd be
cool.
pretty good.
I'd
Some-
go in on that.
Orc Shantytown, maybe some Necron style stuff. I'd love
some tower
pyramid stuff.
structures that don't move and kill other things.
You know they all will.
yeah, they
What are you
will.
talking about? They'll have
They're
civilian
all-
buildings with rail cannons on
They're
it.
all built out of guns.
So then there's 3 more detachments that are pretty new. Vanguard, Spearhead, and Outrider. So looking at Vanguard first.
So this is the pick your flavor, like whatever unit choice, like slot you really enjoyed, go for that.
Deathwing,
Deathwing, Grey Knights. Really like Grey Knights? you
Deathwing,
think?
yeah, Deathwing or Grey Knights would work with this. I mean, honestly, Terminators work in
Yeah,
Grey
all
Knights.
things
Also,
Terminators.
actually, there's some Blood Angels lists
Yeah.
that were very Assault Terminator heavy, and Stern Guard and Vanguard heavy.
Yep.
So that gets you there. Spearhead, really, really good for if you're playing Iron Warriors, honestly.
Yeah, for good Iron
Heretic
Warriors,
Astartes.
Imperial Guard for
Imperial
tanks,
Guard.
all things
Astra
tanks.
Militarum, thank you.
Oh my god.
Get with the times, man.
Imperial Militarum.
I'll-
Astral Guard.
let
Let's
it-
just go with that.
Astral Guard.
It's just-
That
it's-
sounds like a space people like preventing asteroid fields from doing something.
I mean, isn't that what we all do?
And then we have the Outrider detachment, which is your Raven Wing. And honestly, my Tyranid list is probably going to fit into here because I run a
cram all the
ton of
gargoyles.
gargoyles.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just pick your flavor and you get, and because it's so unorthodox, you're gonna get, and the slot requirement for HQs is 1
1 to
to
2.
2.
Yeah.
And it's only gonna give you 1 command point bonus.
Yeah.
So
So it
it's-
allows you to take one of those weird specific lists, but you're doing it at a cut to your command
yes,
points.
it lets you tailor a bit.
Which is really good. I mean, I like the ability. I love tailored lists. I love
Mm-hmm.
specific lists that do really well at certain things
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not so well at others. Because sometimes, it's just really fun to overcome when the odds. Or in my last case, just get stomped on.
Well, or in the one case, I was like, I wanted to field all my dreadnoughts because I had like 8.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna fight Gabe, our resident demon player. I was like, he's gonna bring a bunch of bloodthirsters, and we're just gonna duke it out. He didn't.
Just entirely.
He brought
infantry.
Kairos Fate Weaver and a bunch of corn dogs, and it was just like,
Nothing happened.
I was like, oh dear, that's unfortunate.
Well, that does it for the hot news flash of the day. The leak, detachments. Comment what your detachment is that you're going to use with your army and why. Like, subscribe, all the fun things.
In fact, for funsies, post a list using one of the detachments of your choice. We'll talk about it.
I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
I'm undecided.
Start list
still.
building now
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I've
with
been
the points you don't
I've
need.
been
Yeah,
like-
I was going to say without the points.
I've just been using the points that we have. I was
Yeah.
assuming that it's not going to change too
Yeah.
much.
All those guys.
Although it's going to
Build a
be
list with the points that you currently have for 8th edition with the detachment from 8th edition. See you next
7th
time.
edition points.
Yeah.
Mix it all up. Just